Well, welcome once again, all Warhammers and Warhammies. You've tuned into the best episode of Big M's Power Hour to date. Once again, I have Cole, who this time has a webcam.
Hi.
Yeah, so like I said, we got a little bit of news to cover, and then we got an interesting topic today. We'll get into that in a minute. So don't worry, it's not going to be the normal trend. It's just what I wanted to talk about. I'm even wearing a special shirt for the occasion.
There we go. There we go. Got some good old 40K love going on.
Yeah, so we'll do some real quick news here. Let me get that sent over. So, of course, the very first thing we have is the controversy. So, this month's Curse City came out.
Yeah.
If you watched the normal Strength Hammer episode, you know I've been dealing with kind of a pinched nerve in my shoulder, so it has made hobby quite difficult. So unfortunately, they're still just sprues, but I did manage to get my copy complete with key.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, so with that being said, Cole, did you get?
I did secure a copy from my local game store. Norm had been allocated, I think, 2 or 3. I forget how many, but he's already out of them now. But I was able to get myself one of them.
Yeah.
I haven't opened it yet or anything. It's one of those things that I just felt like I needed to get. And if I can get around to it, I will. If not, I'm basically just going to sell it what I got it at and kick it down the road to somebody. But it's one of those things. I've got quite a few projects, so it's kind of on the back burner for now.
So what do you think happened?
What, with supply and all that?
Yeah.
There's quite a few things I remember I've heard now so far. A lot of, well, it ended up breaking copyright on something else, which I think might be the biggest reason. The idea that a mold cracked or something like that, I've heard going around the internet. I don't buy that
well,
for a second.
Considering that they did come out and say that they might look at releasing the models individually at a later point, right?
So that just kind of kicks the whole thing out of the window. That could be that.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they don't release all of them, but especially if mold cracked for something like the zombies or something like that, they're going to remake that because we all know that's going to be in the army, so that can't be what it is.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, I mean, as far as that goes, honestly, out of all the rumors, the one I believe the most is the, I don't know what the proper term is, but the I guess, I don't know, I don't want to say embargo, but the importing thing where it has to be like 70% made.
Yeah, in the UK.
That sounds the most realistic, because I feel like if there was a copyright infringement, they wouldn't necessarily be able to sell it at all.
Yeah, either that or GW Stocks would be very well aware of the fact that they are not making any money off of it because all that profit would have to go elsewhere.
So with that being said, I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but for Warhammer Fest next week, well, by the time you guys listen to this, Warhammer Week will be...
It'd have already happened. We're just guessing now.
But do you think we will, not necessarily at Warhammer Fest, but in general, in the future, do you think this is the stake in the heart for Curse City, or do you think we'll still maybe see expansions?
That's one of those difficult ones, because how do you sell expansions to a game that already is released in limited numbers? And now you have to convince that much smaller group of people who can buy it now to go and buy an expansion, which will probably also be limited in scope.
Yeah.
If I am working at GW, I'm saying, well, mess that one up. Let's just scrap that whole idea. We can release the models some other way, repackage them, and sell them in some other way. But I wouldn't put Curse City on anything right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like so many people, at least that vocal minority, have said so much as of late about how they're so upset that we were told, hey, this is going to be a forever thing. You're going to get to see it all the time, and now it's gone.
Now, one thing they could do, now this is what I would do. If I was GW, I would be sneaky about it, all right? So I would release some models that totally weren't intended for Curse City.
Definitely not at all.
Because
Mm.
if you're trying to tell me that there's no Stormcast, that they were like, hey, why don't you go help them,
Oh,
please,
yeah.
please. So
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I expect to see like a weird, random, one-off Stormcast model.
Yeah. We'll definitely see a bunch of models, and you're going to sit there and you're going to look at it and go, that was molded thinking about Cursed City.
Like, hey, it's not
But it's not
Halloween.
called. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Or maybe it will become a Halloween release, and they'll just say, hey, here's your theme thing. It's
Yeah,
this Halloween themed Stormcast. Everyone will be looking at it like,
and
really?
then
I can believe that?
then basically at that point, what'll happen from there is later down the road they'll release like a no model, like just
Yes.
here's some extra
Some extra
curse.
rules you can add to your Cursed City stuff. Yeah.
Right, right. That's how I would play it.
Yeah. Yeah. At least pat the backs of all those people who did take the time, go out and buy it whenever it first came, and say, here's a little something that you thought you were going to get whenever you first bought it.
Yeah.
But we're not going to give any sort of individual models. You can go buy those elsewhere. You can see which ones we were talking about.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, one of the things that, like, what's funny is the easiest solution, the easiest long term solution that I don't think they
Yeah.
would ever do. No,
Mm.
think isn't even a. I know for a
Yeah.
fact they would never do is
Yeah.
come to the States
Yeah.
where,
Just set up shop here in the States for some of those limited run releases and say, okay, we've gotten around the embargo because we're just going to go through the States.
right, right. If you
Yeah.
came, whether you moved GW to the States or whether you opened a Warhammer America,
Right.
um,
Yeah. You just relogoed something good enough. Yeah.
because I said, I mean, it's silly that that something that simple can completely derail something that they've been hyping for
Yeah.
what feels like
And
a year.
yeah, it was one of those things. What I guess right at the tail end of last year, we finally got our whisperings of it and knew what was happening. And
Yeah,
yeah,
this would be like if whenever the animated shows come out, they just show them once and they never show them again. Like,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, well, to put a pin in it here, I think I can't wait to play,
Right.
and I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens 6 months to a year from now with that.
Yeah, and again, it's something that I'm interested in the story and I'm interested in the product. So anything else pops up,
Yeah,
I'll probably bring it up in the future. All right,
fine with that.
moving along. Looks like somebody got a makeover.
Yeah.
What do you think of the model?
Uh, I'm not actually seeing it up on your screen if you're showing it.
Oh, yeah, I am. But
Okay.
unfortunately, there's no way I can show you. But
That's
uh,
fine.
have you looked at the model, the Lord Croak?
Oh, the Lord Croak?
Yeah.
Yes, I have looked at Lord Croak. He terrifies me in this form much more than that old model that we had before. Oh my, this is definitely where he should have been.
Yeah.
I'm worried now that he has an awesome looking model. How much is he going to stomp me into the dirt whenever I am playing against him on the table? He's also already very good, but yeah, he's this is exactly what you expect from such a powerhouse. This is definitely on Bellacor's level again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great.
I think there's going to be some very interesting uh, Croak v Teclis battles in the near future.
Oh yeah, those will be great.
Um, I don't
Yeah,
know, man.
I'm
So,
excited.
I do you think they're going to? I know that the article says he will be even more powerful than ever, but we know how the articles pair
Right?
out
Yeah,
sometimes. Where do you think his power level is going to go from here?
that is a difficult one because I feel like quite a few people in the community would, at least in the competitive side, would like him to not go up at all. Uh, his power can go up if
Hmm.
points increase as well with him to keep him in line with what he's doing now, honestly. But I think, yeah, just we're going to look at another caster on the same level of Teclis. I don't know if he will have an auto unbind the way Teclis did or anything like that, but I think he's going to be one of those pieces that, okay, if you see a Croak, a Teclis, Nagash on the table, and you kind of dabbled in Magic, just forget about your Magic. You didn't actually bring it. You paid for it, but it's not helping you here.
Um, yeah, I mean, if we keep getting these powerhouse models like this, and not every army has one,
Right.
I would not be shocked if we start seeing a trend of sideboards.
Perhaps, yeah. It's either going to be sideboards or you're going to have to sit there and have a hard think about, okay, I'm going to take this army, I'm going to dabble in Magic for this ability. Can my army still play if I don't have access to this ability? Because if you're playing a 5-round tournament and you think you want to make your way up to the top, you're going to see one of these powerhouse models, especially Teclis right now. And you'll end up seeing the new Croak as well as the current Croak on your way up through those. So you'll have to sit there and say, okay, can I either compete with them or can I do without the Magic that I'm looking for?
Yeah, definitely. And so to answer my question, I
Mhm.
think he is going to be more powerful, but I don't think it is going to be take current war scroll and just turn up volume. I think
Right.
I think he's getting a new page. I think it's going to
They're
be
just going to erase everything and
right.
rewrite from there.
They might keep
Which,
one or two abilities that already exist
right.
just to show, hey, it's still Croak. But I think for the majority of the vast majority of the war scroll, it's going to be a 2-pager,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, it definitely will be.
But I think it is going to be 2 new pages with maybe a footnote or an ability that is reminiscent. I definitely
Yeah.
think his points are going up. I'm just going to go ahead and take a swing.
Hmm.
680.
I don't know. What's he at right now? I can't remember. Three something?
Yeah, three. He's under 400. You could ally
Yeah.
him in.
I was
Uh,
thinking he'll probably make it. I'm thinking somewhere in the 500s.
yeah,
I
well,
think the sixes might be a little too much, but then again, that is where we're putting Nagash,
yeah,
Archeon, Teclis. So yeah, that might be the
Valerial.
spot then. She also needs her War Scroll just erased, or they
I
just
would
need to
say
keep adding pages. She needs to be the first 4-page War Scroll, where they just or 3-pager and just keep going,
what they
keep
need to
writing
do with
off.
Alariel right now is either give her a new war scroll or just
Hmm.
make her an allegiance ability.
Show up with Sylvaneth, get free Alariel.
Yeah.
All right, yeah,
And speaking of Alariel, we'll move over to um, the new Sylvaneth model. What is this guy called? The Warsong Revenant?
yes, the pipe blower or whatever. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on this model?
This model, I think, fits what the aesthetic of that army quite a bit. I was excited just to see Sylvaneth getting something.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's great. Um, I don't know what that is. That is waking up on top of the pipe, and it's interesting. I think I've heard that it might be some of the beetles, those giant beetles.
Yeah, I'm not
But
100%
no,
sure. I haven't read through all the lore and everything, but
I
I
can't say I
have
have
put
either.
together a bunch of the models, and you see things like that on a
Yeah,
couple
lots of
models here and
strange
there.
insects. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's nothing new.
Mm.
Oh, but I do think that's a rumor engine now that I think about it.
Oh, she might have been. Yeah, I think so. Just the egg. Yeah.
But yeah, that's I'm super excited to see it. I really hope that Sylvaneth gets a little bit more love than just the
Just one
last model.
model.
Like
Yeah.
we got that last model that I think helped. I'm sure this model will help as well. Uh,
Right.
but
They
I
just
would,
need help.
yeah.
It's
But again,
taught now.
that also, like I think we talked about last time, that might be the Kurnothi. So we'll see.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that'd be very cool.
All right. I don't know why I put it over here, but we'll go over to. So again, to anyone listening, on the Friday this video comes out, we are now almost done with Warhammer Fest. But where we are in the present, at the time of recording, we have not started Warhammer Fest yet.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so this is going to be, we're going to do some quick predictions. We're not going to spend too much time on it because, again, it's not a prediction when it comes out after it's already happened.
Right. Yeah.
But this is going to
Now
be
you
immediate.
guys are just wondering why we're talking about it.
This is going to be immediate. How good are we at predicting things? So, on
Okay.
Monday, what are we going to see?
I believe we will see Broken Realms 4 talked about and told when it will come out.
Okay, all right. I what's so funny is I completely forgot about Broken
Yeah.
Realms 4 because it was hot
It's
on
one
the
of those things you
heels,
think it's already out. Yeah. Hey, Bellacore just came out. Oh,
which
wait. We still have another Broken Realms coming.
I don't know about you. I pre-ordered mine from the web store, and it still hasn't shipped yet.
Oh, no. See, I've not picked up any but the Techless Broken Realms so far. Oh, and the Marathi one. So
Yeah,
I did not pick up Bellacore just because I'm not going to use anything that's in there at this
yeah,
time. So,
yeah. I'm just gonna pick them all up because there's probably only gonna be 4 or 5 books anyway. So,
agreed. Yeah.
but yeah. So I think we're gonna see the full line of Soulblight.
Oh, okay.
And they might, since it
Yeah.
might not just be, it might be that, and then they might show the named character for the next Broken Realms book.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That would be my guess.
That's not. It's not impossible. Yeah, it's not out of the realm possibility, especially since they're going to actually take the time to put up a stream and everything, as far as I'm aware. So,
Yeah. What do you think
yeah.
about for Warhammer 40k?
I'm really not certain. We will probably get the next faction that will be getting its ninth edition update. Uh, there are a lot of armies crossing their fingers, especially if you're a Space Marine body that is not on 2 wounds yet. You are sitting there going, "Please let it be me, baby."
Yeah, I something in the back of my head is telling me that they're going to reveal the last of the Sisters of Battle models that are coming out.
Okay. I almost feel like we're caught up on all the sister stuff they've got going on right now.
Didn't they say they have more last time, or
Oh,
is
they
that just
might
me
have.
thinking? Uh,
I don't. I can't remember him saying that now. Maybe I completely missed that.
yeah, I have a feeling. I have a feeling,
Yeah,
but we'll see. We'll
definitely.
see. Other than
Yeah,
that, I'm hoping for a community. And again, what's funny is we'll be talking about this in a minute. But
right. Yeah,
as far as for a community, I would like to see maybe Eldar.
yeah. Basic Eldar could use their update. Agreed.
I think the current.
Tyranids, they need theirs.
See, here's the problem: is like with Tyranids,
Mhm.
they're all like, yeah, the models are old, but
Right. I'm not saying they need new models. I'm thinking just a rules update.
yeah,
I'm
they
expecting
definitely
a
need a rules
book,
update.
maybe a singular model.
That's just,
That's
I'm
all I
talking
would
about
say.
new models here, and you're right.
Yeah,
It's probably gonna
it's
be 2 new codexes.
and a model or two for each.
So probably I'm gonna say Imperial Guard.
Okay.
No, I take it back.
Okay.
They're gonna show the orcs.
Yeah, definitely. We get our orc stuff coming up. Yeah, we've seen too much of it. At least one of these 2 days, either the Tuesday or the Friday,
Yeah,
we're gonna have something orc come up. Yeah.
um, yeah, that's a good point. So I don't know about you. I don't necessarily feel the need to take a stab at Black Library.
No, I haven't got a damn clue
Yeah,
what they might do.
books,
Yes, books.
maybe a
Probably
calendar.
having to do with one of the armies that will be coming up soon. That'll be about it.
All right, box games. Any stab there?
I really don't know what they could be doing new with boxed games. Really don't know. If Cursed City wasn't in the spot it was in, I would almost expect them to say something about
Yeah,
one of the expansions. But
yeah.
now,
I think this
I
will be a good opportunity to see what they're going to do with that.
yeah,
I definitely think they're going to show the rest of the Underworld's warbands. I think we just have the one more. I think
yeah. What we have,
that'll be your guys,
the
right? The
yes, the Ideth Deepkin will have one coming up, and then obviously we know what comes after that.
yeah. Other than that, like I said, I don't know what else to see. I know a lot of people are expecting a next edition of Kill Team. Do you think Kill Team needs another edition?
I don't know. It's starting to feel a little stale. I don't know if it needs another edition. Honestly, with Kill Team being the smaller game, I
Yeah.
enjoy where it's at, and a lot of the time, I end up just playing with the basic rules, not even worrying about adding in the elites or heroes and all that.
Yeah.
It just adds so much to the game. And if I'm playing Kill Team, I just kind of want to hang out, drink beer, enjoy myself.
That's one of the issues that I have with Kill Team overall is I love the idea of it. It has been a huge drawing point for me from back before Kill Team was active.
Yeah,
Um, but I feel like all the additions have made it very clunky.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like if we would just, if they're going to do anything, pick them all up, put them back into one book, keep it simple, streamlined, and
Yeah.
enjoyable for anyone to just walk in and play something.
That would be very nice if they did a second
Yeah.
edition where it was literally just, oh, you can pick one of these guys.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
here.
Here's one elite or something like that. You can take up to one in your army, and it fits inside the points values that we gave you in the first book.
Yeah. And then okay, so do you have any specific predictions for the next 40K showing? What's going to be revealed today?
Yeah. Today, what did we see? I haven't got a clue. I think Orcs is probably going to be the Tuesday just because we've heard more about it. And with Orcs, I really don't know. It might. Nah, I don't think we'll do Tau yet. That was the other one I was thinking because that'd just be a good dichotomy of going Orcs to Tau from the least technologically advanced to the most. But yeah, I really don't know.
I think we're going to see a Primarch.
A Primarch. Okay. That would be cool. Yeah, we've been waiting on another one, I feel like, for quite some time at this point, and I
Yeah.
would like to see another loyalist Primarch. That would be good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, and then Saturday, what do you think we'll see tomorrow?
The part of me that loves Age of Sigmar wants to just rip the band-aid off and them just announce 3.0.
Well, I mean, they did get a lot of information from our video. That's
Yeah, yeah, they had a whole month to look that up and digest it. So, just whip something out there. It'll be fine.
yeah. I personally do expect to see third edition. I expect to see a new. You know what? I'm torn. I don't see them coming out with a new chamber, but I feel like they're coming out with something new. So hopefully they'll just revisit a chamber.
Yeah, that'd be nice if they just went and touched up some of the first two,
Yeah.
honestly, and just modernized them a little bit.
Well, I mean, again, if you go back and look at it, there's only. I,
There's
I'm
only so
hesitant.
much you can
I'm
do with
hesitant
them.
to say this because it's such a stretch because I feel like it doesn't even really. It's not even considered its own chamber anymore of the extremist chamber with the all the Dracoliths.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it really wasn't its own chamber because it came out in the first start, but yeah, that would be one that would be considered its own on. As
And
far as
so
I'm
like, but again, like that has literally just
three. It's
three.
one
Yeah.
box, but it's three different. Yeah, three
Um,
different options.
so
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, like I said, it's so like now lumped in with Warrior Chamber that I was like, I don't think they're. I think more of anything
yeah.
they're like, maybe we won't bring it up and no one will no one will
Yeah,
point
we'll
it
think
out.
about it. Yeah, whenever we get Warrior Chamber and are just like, yeah, Draculos, they're a thing. All right.
All right, so on to rumor engines here. Let's go back to April 6th. This was candles. If you're not looking them up on your phone or anything,
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with you. Handles here.
uh,
Okay. Go
I
ahead. You go ahead and tell me what you're thinking here while I'm
I think it's Soulblade.
struggling on.
I
Yeah, I think you're right now. Yeah, I'm looking them up. I think you're not wrong. I think we could easily have some sort of Soulblade summoner or necromancer or something like that.
I've heard a lot of people go Night Haunt due to the mist in the background, but the candles are too.
They're too solid.
Yeah, I was
I
say
mean,
they're
for that
too
army.
Castlevania. Like,
Yeah.
all right, moving right along to the 13th.
Okay.
This is a clawed hand holding a controller. Um,
Yeah.
I think
Um,
this is Gene Stealer.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is Gene Stealer. Anytime I
The
see something alien holding something that it looks like
Yeah,
was made by a human. Good
the
enough.
ribbed wrist, um, is what gives away for me. So
Yeah.
real quick, Gene Stealer cult anecdote here. So
Okay.
back during Shadow War Armageddon,
Okay.
I bought a box of the Gene Stealer cult Astra Militarum
Okay. Yeah.
because it had the heavy weapon option included.
Right.
And so I built it, and then I put two of my guys had Gene Stealer cult heads.
Okay.
And it was just part of my story, like just part of the narrative I had for that warband that has just the beginning inklings of being infected.
Right. You're just barely starting to see it, but no one's really noticing yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And I expected no one to even notice at all.
Yeah.
Every time I put that on the table, my opponent was like, "What's with that Gene Stealer cult head?" I'm like,
Ah. We're just telling a story, man.
I was
It's
like,
great.
no, it's normal Astra Militarum. It's not Gene Stealer cult. I just
Right.
thought it was interesting to do it, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Ah. Jeez.
All right, so over to the 20th with a disc.
Yeah, that disc. That's where I was starting to think something Tau related, perhaps,
See,
or it could be Eldar. One of the
I
two.
feel like it's more Tau, but
Okay.
the hand has 5 fingers.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I didn't. I wasn't counting fingers.
So I don't know. Like, I mean, it definitely does not feel
It's
Empire.
yeah, it's
Period.
not human in any way. It's not chaos in any way. So
Um,
it's some form of Xenos.
yeah, so maybe Eldar. Maybe like it doesn't feel like Eldar to me. It feels like Tau, but
Hmm.
time will tell on this one.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. It's Xenos in some way. It's going to be one of the ones that have better access technology. So I'm sorry, York players, that's not yours.
And then on to the 27th. It's
All
a
right.
staff with an eye. Could either be Zinch or maybe even I don't know. Like to me, it looks very
Outside of
Zinch.
Zeech, yeah, agreed.
It's very Zinch.
I
But
put an eyeball on a staff. I think Zeech.
yeah,
Eh.
that eye is kind of 30K though. Just to throw it out
Okay.
there.
Okay.
But I absolutely
Neat.
think it's Zinch.
Yeah.
With the way with the pin in the pole at the bottom,
Mhm.
I'm I'm inclined to say AOS Zinch.
Okay. Yeah, the way that pin is. How it could be. It could also be. I don't know. I want to say because chaos has sometimes less access to technology, there's always a chance they could be driving a pin in like that. But yeah, that does look very squared off, like you would expect a blacksmith of the old world to make.
Yeah. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, so that was the news here. We didn't want to take up too much time on that one.
Yeah, it only took up like a half hour or something. We're fine.
Okay, let's see. Um, so why is that doing that? Okay, but yeah, so some rumors dropped about third edition since our last video.
Yeah.
Did you watch them or did you look at them?
I have not been paying too much attention to them, if I'm being completely honest with you. I
That's
know they're out there,
they
but
seem to be pretty legitimate.
okay.
All signs are pointing. Like the person that leaked it literally said that they were looking at the book.
Right.
Um, there's I think the big ones are um, the there's going to be like command points refreshed at the beginning of every turn,
Oh,
and there's a new charge reaction phase.
okay. So you could choose to flee or something like that.
Right. So you
Kind
could
of.
choose to flee. You could choose to stand and shoot. Um,
That's interesting because that would also mean that I'm declaring what I'm making a charge against,
yeah, you're true. You're right. That is
which
something
is not
that's
something that we do right now. We roll some dice and we go, "Oh, I rolled really high, so I'm going to take the further charge I didn't think I'd make."
so as far as again, we'll have to see how it
Right.
plays, and whatever it is, we've played through some pretty bad 40k editions, so like
Yeah,
we'll be fine. Like
yeah, make it through
I
it.
initial glance, I'm not super happy about those sort of things.
Yeah, the refresh reminds me of OCR Bone Reapers
And honestly, with the
immediately.
with the refresh, I'm actually fine with refresh.
Yeah, that
Um,
I think that makes it worth more to take a battalion quite a bit.
well, we'll get the battalions in a second.
Oh, geez, I missed a lot here. Okay.
um, and honestly, the last, well, so whenever this goes out, 2 weeks ago, the Warhammer Weekly did a pretty good coverage over it, uh,
Okay.
and they're so much more analytical than I am with these things. So just watch them.
That's fine. Yeah.
But the I don't necessarily like them adding more clunk because
Yeah, that is one of the beauties, especially whenever AOS first started. It was what, 4 pages of
right,
rules
the
at the start,
the
and
dreaded
we were
four
just
pages.
yeah. Hey,
um,
once we got ourselves the first General's Handbook, I was all on board and happy with it.
Now,
Personally.
one thing that I've said this a couple times, but
Hmm.
whenever it comes to the 4 page rules and the no points, once you actually learned your army,
Hmm.
playing no points was actually incredibly fun.
Okay,
the
that's something that I never did. I don't know. It
The
couldn't grab
problem
me without.
is, so here's the problem though, is like you have to know your rules. You have to know your army. You have to know, okay, if I put down a block of 20 wardens, this is what it can do. But also you need to know what that does and what you're going to put down to counter it.
Right. So both players need to understand both armies
Right.
in order to make a balanced game.
Right. Um, and so like I said, I mean, it was such a foreign concept that just people were just, no, I can't even.
Yeah. I can't say anything. I was one of them.
I know you were. That's why I'm making fun of you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. You're allowed. I'll get you later.
But Chuck and I played a couple games like that, and it was just really fun once we figured out how our armies worked.
Good.
Um, but uh, but yeah, that was one of the problems with 40k that they started losing me whenever they started adding in a lot of these like extra like. Whenever we started getting the rules where it was to the point where you're forgetting core concepts of the rules.
Yeah, that was in 7th edition. By the time that was done, oh boy, you were rocking up to the table with 5 books because you were going to need them, every
Yeah,
single one, to
I
look
mean,
up one page too.
yeah. So honestly, in my local club at the Warhammer store, and this was not part of like the Warhammer store had nothing
It
to do
wasn't
with us
sanctioned
playing.
by
Like
them.
yeah,
Yeah, that was
it
just
wasn't.
you guys having
We
fun
literally
there.
would we just said no flyers because we were like, you know what, no one gets it, or even the people that do get it don't want to go to the trouble of it.
Right. Yeah, you have all that fun of trying to figure out your direction you're facing. Your
Well,
opponent is like, great, I need a 6 to hit this. This sucks.
and again, we were allowed to bring flyers. It's just we didn't use the flying expansion.
Okay. Yeah. No, agreed. That. Oof.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
silly. So and I feel like they're still trying to recover from that. Um,
Yeah.
I see D&D books in the back there, so
Yeah.
to pull from that, I feel like 40k could actually use a D&D 5e where they
Trim the fat.
right
Yeah.
they peel it back and they
Well,
come down and come up with a little bit more of a streamlined process.
to be fair, thinking about all those flyer rules and everything, whenever we went over to 8th edition from 7th, they did. The
Yeah.
game got picked up, basically thrown in the trash, and somebody rewrote that entire game for
Yeah.
8th edition, as
Well,
far as I'm concerned.
it's basically like they went kind of might be a little oversimplification, but they looked at Sixth and they looked at Age of Sigmar and they went, these two need to have a child together.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. They
and
looked
then
at seven.
and then the problem that I have is from there for ninth edition, they took that and they're like, okay, let's start adding to it again already.
Right, yeah, let's start building back into it. Agreed. They did.
And so again, the game is wildly more popular than any other war game. So
Right.
clearly they're doing something right, and we're
Yeah,
talking about my
that
preference here.
the eighth edition boom was actually a thing.
Yeah,
There's a lot more people I feel like got into 40K and got into competitive 40K as well.
yeah,
Just going out to major events and everything back during the olden days whenever we could do such things. But I feel like watching 8th edition grow, especially as we moved ourselves out of indexes and every army was getting its own codex to start, it was just weird to kind of go to a major tournament and say, wait, this just is growing and turning into a bigger and bigger ball, and
yeah,
it got very popular. And I feel like that simplification in 8th helped it quite a
yeah,
lot,
yeah,
because you could bring in some random person and be like, okay, I can teach you this game, how to play it at a basic level in this afternoon. I don't have to show up with all 5 of these D&D books over here
yeah.
to get you to play a game.
And I think that was, and that again, that the simplicity is what I like about the Age of Sigmar aspect, because
Yeah.
it's less about what the rules are. The rules are just a fence,
Yeah.
and you play inside the fence.
Mhm.
And I'm worried about them starting to add partitions and buildings inside the fence.
Right. And we're going to start, okay, here's a gate over here that leads to that playpen.
Right,
That's where you guys can go play. Yeah.
right.
Agreed. The
Um,
more they add on, the more complexity it's going to make, the more possibilities of something going wrong, I
yeah,
feel like also happens. Whenever we started playing first edition, it was so simple and anyone could kind of do whatever they wanted. Obviously, we had things that were broken because it was a little too simple and you could
oh
get
yeah,
around things. I do enjoy where we're at right now in that everyone is playing in a box and
yeah,
it doesn't feel like we're doing anything crazy as far as that's concerned.
yeah. Honestly, the only real complaint, and this probably should have been a conversation we had last month, but
Uh,
the only thing that I would like to see in second edition is probably the same thing I'd like to see in 40K that we'll talk about here, is a little bit of it feels like each battle tome is made in a bubble,
Yeah. No, I
and
agree. It's made in a portion of time that is all of its own.
right,
And there are points where you can tell somebody's looking ahead to the future or someone isn't. And they're just saying, this would be really cool to do.
yeah,
And then you look, they release it out in the wild where everything else is. And you go, oh, this is really cool if all the other rules didn't just want to kick it in the face.
right, right. Um, and like I said, and even again, it's not even egregious. I wouldn't even put it in like the
No,
yellow category. I would say it's
no.
in the green, looking at yellow, because
Yeah.
like you have, and it's like simple stuff, like the Slanesh rework.
Yeah.
That was
That was one of those things they pulled back on the codex, and you kind of looked around and went, well, the rest of the space kind of kept moving forward. You could have kept it at that same power level or given it a tiny push.
right.
And I don't think anyone would have complained.
This is one of those things where um, the customer isn't always right.
Yeah.
You can't take the aspects that people are complaining about and go, okay, we'll just cut it out, because
Right.
a lot of times people don't necessarily know what they want. They just know what they don't like.
Right. And they also don't know what's coming up as well.
Right.
Whenever they're making these complaints, there's things already in motion that are coming out 6 months from now.
Right.
And you don't realize the level of power that's going to come and how you're going to clutch to that book and go, oh, this was so nice and gentle. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
Well, I said, like, one of the biggest complaints was summoning, and so summoning was
Right.
hit pretty hard.
It
I don't
was.
think it was too bad. I honestly feel like the book could just use some point adjustments and be good.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
like, it's like, no, don't worry about stripping summoning down.
Right.
Rebalance the book, figure out
Yep.
what works, and then do the summoning that works for that book. Don't worry about people complaining that summoning is still strong,
Right.
because this is the summoning book.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it certainly was. Now, I do feel like the Slanesh book, if you started tweaking points, you can help that book out quite a bit.
yeah,
And to the point that it will come back up to where I feel like it belongs in a lot of those players that bought into them, especially the spring, summer of 2019.
yeah,
That's where those players would should be at is once these points get readjusted, that they come down a little bit. I think that will help them out.
Well, again, what's funny is like, we're probably not going to see the points adjustment for second edition.
No, nope, that's not happening.
I think
I'm sorry
third.
if you were hoping for that.
Yeah, I think
But
third edition is going to be a gigantic wallop.
yeah,
Wallop's
you
not the
asked
right
me
word.
about that last month, and it's one of those things I've been sitting there going, yeah, we're all going to get a points adjustment at one time. And it's probably not going to be in the direction any of us really want because we want to play with more toys.
Yeah.
But we might not get to play with as many toys.
Yeah, honestly, so that's one of the things is like I look at it as a Lumineth player, where right now I feel like for list building, and again, you've been helping your significant other,
Yeah.
so this might make sense to you. I feel
Yeah.
like it's one of those, the pictures that's a bunch of
Mhm.
tiles and just one tile is missing.
Oh, and you're sitting there going, son of a gun, if I had two tiles missing, this would be perfect and simple and
Right.
easy.
If I could just have one tile to get a little more, but like it's like okay,
Oh,
so I have like if I'm going with a tech list, I have one tech list, I have one or two Cathlars, so now I have 2 blocks of Wardens, and probably
it,
2 blocks
yeah.
of Sentinels, and now I have
Probably going to take the battalion too because I'm already in there.
right.
Okay.
So it's like so now I have 300 points if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
What do I do with that? Like,
Yeah.
and so with the confirmed board size going down, well, not confirmed,
Yeah.
but the rumors confirmed that the board size is going down.
If you think the board size isn't changing,
Yeah.
I wish I had your optimism.
Honestly, I like the idea of a board change.
I do not mind it at all. Being a 40K player and playing on the smaller board size, I love it. It gives space for more tournaments.
Yeah.
If you look at a long row of tables, you get to add a whole nother table on there, which means
Yeah.
more people get to play. It's supposedly the common size of a table in the UK.
Yeah.
Great.
It's not
Awesome
the
if
common
you can
size
play.
of a US table. Let's
No,
put it.
no, it is not.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, so I'm perfectly fine with that, which means they want less models on the table, which means points are going up across the board.
Yeah.
Hopefully, what that'll mean is just the units and maybe the heroes will stay the same.
Yeah, you would hope. I certainly don't think Techless needs to be hitting like 700 and something or other points or things like that. Yeah.
But yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
So the other one, the where we're talking about battalions, I don't know. I don't remember everything that was said about battalions, but all army-specific battalions are out of matched play. And instead, the book is going to have generic battalions.
Oof. I am not a fan. I hate to say it. I would like generic ones in addition to,
Yeah, I wouldn't
because I
mind
feel
like
like,
minimum,
yeah,
like command
but
abilities.
yeah, but there are some armies that they get some of their flavor from being able to do that.
Yeah.
And they have abilities that no one else can do
Well,
because there's battalions. Sometimes that's a bad thing, I will grant. But I really do enjoy having different ones.
so what I think is funny is like so this came out after our episode of third
Yeah.
edition, and then also a little bit before that I was on Warhammer Weekly, and we talked about battalions and stuff like that and sub factions, and we were talking about how important those were and how good they
Right.
were. And then I know our conversation, at least one of my side, was make them more fun.
Yeah.
Like make them
Don't
more
make
fun.
them something that the competitive player has to have.
Right.
Make them something that gives you flavor.
Right. Like I wanted something that had I want to go into it because I want these extra rules. Not I
Right.
just want to be able to throw my entire army on one go.
Right.
Like
I don't want to be a one drop army. Yeah.
and they're like, "Nope, we're going to go we see that you made a left, but we're going to go ahead and make this right." So,
Jeez. Okay.
but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's
Yeah.
good.
I mean, I'm not going to boo poo it until I see it.
right.
I am concerned. I will give that.
I'll poo-poo it now, but I will poo-poo it with an asterisk of I'm willing to accept it. But I just
Right.
have such a hard. I have such a hard. As someone that loves rules writing,
Hmm.
I can't imagine getting a brush that broad,
Right.
and
And making everyone
or
happy.
better yet, I can't envision the seasoning that goes with every dish.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's some nice ice cream. Let's add some salt. Like it's
Yeah.
paprika. There, everyone gets paprika now.
Yeah. Everyone gets it. I hope you like pepper because it's going to be in there.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think with that, I think it's time to move on to our main topic, some
Fair enough.
40k talk.
Yeah.
So to go where this came about, like I said, we're not normally going to talk about 40k. This is just it's my show. I'll do what the hell I want.
I'm not going to fight you on it.
If I want to have a D&D episode, it's going to happen. That's
I got the books for it. We can sit here and talk D&D.
but so this came about from the original Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War game.
Okay.
A real-time strategy for the computer for people that don't
Yeah.
know. I loved it because it was actually my introduction to Warhammer.
It was for me as well, honestly. Yeah.
I loved like the grimdark of it. I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
The dreadnought saying it is better to die for the emperor than to live for yourself.
For
And
yourself. Yeah.
I was like I can't even fathom that line of thought.
Yep.
Uh,
Well, that first cinematic, whenever you opened up the game originally, of
okay.
the Blood Ravens trying to capture that hill
Yeah.
against some orcs. I mean, obviously, those orcs actually would have been decimated as far as the lore is concerned. But that was the most badass looking opening, especially for
Yeah.
its time.
Yeah.
Oh, that just got people excited.
Well, so recently I discovered the Unification Wars mod
Okay.
that adds like 15 or 17 new armies.
Okay. I didn't know this was a thing. Now
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah, and so I've been playing that a lot, and so it's kind of like it kind of lit the old 40k burner, um,
Yeah.
because it added my old favorite army, my old go to of Grey Knights.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, whenever I started playing, I started with Space Marines, and I loved Grey Knights. And just
Yeah.
as I was about ready to take the plunge,
Mhm.
they came like their codex came out in 5th edition where they were untouchable, and I'm like, I can't be
Yeah.
that guy.
Ah, no, they were great in fifth.
So I
Fifth's where I
went,
started. So yeah.
yeah. So I went Space Wolves for a while, and I liked the way they played,
Yeah.
but I
It
like their
wasn't. It wasn't
I,
great nights.
I like their lore more than I like the way they play on the table.
Yeah.
And then when 6th edition came around, and they were like, okay, now they're good, and people
Right.
don't grunt, they don't cringe if you put them on the table. I'm like, now I'm going.
Yeah.
uh, and so I was sitting there looking at them, and I'm like, I would never start a Grey Knight army right now.
Yeah.
And now again, this is once again, I'm fully aware that this is based on my opinions and my personality, where
Yeah.
I can't stand I can't stand clashing um, aesthetics. So
Okay.
if I put a Primaris next to a Grey Knight Terminator,
Yeah. That Primaris Marine outsides is that Terminator by a bit.
it is the same reason why I don't field the Custodies Terminators.
Oh, okay. So your Custodies army does not field those Terminators at all.
I have bought a box for a single unit because they are
Uh,
so good. But
exactly. You can't say no to them. But
why are
you hate
they
the aesthetic.
why
Yeah.
are they a head shorter?
Yeah. They're in this, what, tank proof armor as far as the lore is concerned. You should be able to take an anti tank round to the chest and just be like,
Yeah,
hey, good shot, man.
right,
Uh,
right. I'm wearing a mobile fortress.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm shorter than Jim. Somehow I have to hunch to get into this thing. All right.
um, and so that kind of, so I was looking at it, and I don't know if you've seen any of the art or not. Uh, but there's a image someone did online of
Mhm.
their thought of what would be an awesome Primaris Grey Knight army.
Okay.
It is. I was like, yes, just
Okay. Lay it on me here.
just
I
do
need to
it.
hear this.
It's well, it again. It's just they're bigger, they're
Mhm.
bulkier, they're bigger,
We s-
bulkier, and sleeker.
Okay. And we still have all of our psychic abilities and all that fun stuff too.
Well, it was just a single image that an artist drew.
Right.
You
But okay.
know,
I'll have to look around for it now.
yeah, and if I can figure out how to use the software, I'll insert an image now. But if not, maybe I'll put it at the end or something. But
Okay.
and I'll send it to you later. So,
Yeah, you definitely need to.
and so it kind of got me thinking that Primaris. Well, so that's one of the issues one of the things that got me out of 40K was the beginning. I think it was 8th edition when Grey Knights were the first codex.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
6 months later or whatever it was, Space Marines come out, and so like they just do a groin
Yeah.
kick to, I think it was Grey Knights and Dark Angels. I think Dark Angels came out before Primaris.
Yeah, I need to double check and tell when all that
Hey,
occurred, but
don't
yeah.
quote, like I said,
It's
don't hold us
right,
to it,
yeah.
but I feel like that was the case, and like
Either that or Space Marines got their first codex kind of before everyone else, but then within a very short period of time, they got another 8th edition codex. Because I feel like in ninth, I've seen 3 or 4 Space Marine codexes since 8th, like,
yeah.
because in my
Well,
mind,
they have
it is
the supplemental
old.
codexes, right?
Right, yeah. There's still all those. You still need those to be able to play your Space Marine
Yeah.
armies, all the supplements. That's what they're going to now is you grab a Space Marine rulebook, then you grab your supplement for Grey Knights or Space Wolves or Salamanders,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah, and so that was kind of, and so that was kind of the thing. So whenever ninth came around, I had donated all of my 40K stuff for charity,
Okay.
except for Custodies because there was like 8 guys, and I was like,
Yeah.
I can paint 8 guys, like it's,
Yeah. Can get that motivation going for that.
yeah, and but like again, it was like that. Okay, well, I like Terminators, but there's no Primaris Terminators, so I'm like, well, I don't want to do that.
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, it was like I don't want to be half Primaris, half Old Boys.
Okay.
If I'm gonna go Primaris, I want a Primaris army,
Okay.
and
Now, as someone who likes playing games very competitively, I am somebody who says, "Yep, nope, these old boys are a
I
little
don't care what
better
they
in
look
this
like.
situation." Yeah, exactly. And I've come up with my own, of course, own group and everything, and they've got a reason for operating like that. But
So
yeah,
do
I
you?
don't know.
So before we get into the full
Yeah,
topic, do you have your own Space Marine chapter?
of course I do.
What is it?
So I made this Space Marine chapter. I was probably just coming out of high school at the time, and the Marvel movies had just started and all that stuff. So they are the Sons of Thor, like the
Okay.
Sons of Dorn and
Hmm.
all that. So they're actually descendant of a Salamanders chapter.
Okay. Do they still have the pitch black skin?
Uh, they do not. Their planet is not radioactive enough to give
Okay.
them pitch black skin. They
Okay.
have the red eyes though from their radioactive planet.
That's cool. So,
Yeah.
I don't have my own, but
Okay.
I took one that exists and made it my own.
Okay.
So the Knights of Griffon, might just be Griffin.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what color scheme you're talking about.
I loved just this fluorescent orange with just the
Yeah.
black trim and everything.
Yeah.
And so I tried to look up to see if there's any information on them, and at the time I looked up, there was
Mhm.
nothing.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on.
So while I was looking at them and I was painting them up, I had this rush of ideas come to me.
Okay. Yeah.
So the orange reminded me of a prison jumpsuit.
Okay, so we're getting our penal legion or something maybe
essentially.
as our
So
initiates.
now again, this came out way before the new RoboCop movie. Okay, so
Okay, so we can't be blaming you for copying that. Gotcha.
so essentially, what happens is these are prisoners that are willing to, like, hey, look, I'm on death row. I don't want to die. I'm willing to do what you tell me to do.
Okay,
And they essentially take your body. You are like a head. You're like, to here, you're your rib cage, your hearts, and your lungs, and that's it.
okay,
And so you basically sit in like a vat until you are ready. And then
boy,
they give you your body, which is the Space Marine body.
right. This gene grafted and everything. Okay,
So, and so basically what it is the chaplains are very important because they're essentially the wardens,
okay,
and your everything about you is stripped away. You are just a number when you're outside of your Space Marine armor, and when you're
okay.
in your Space Marine armor, you actually are. Your armor has a name,
Ah, okay.
and so
So
you're
every brother Davius or whatever it would be
right,
is that same piece of armor.
right,
Okay, I
and
like
so
that.
so you're named after the original knights.
Owner of that suit. Yeah.
And anytime that you are not acting accordingly, the warden just boop, and your body stops.
Oh, damn.
And so
Okay.
like so they are used like this chapter is essentially, hey, we need to just break through this line. Could you just be
Right.
bodies that get killed?
Oh, hey, welcome to the Third War of Armageddon. We need to basically jump into this hell pit. You're up, man.
Right, right. It's like, hey, there's a pit that your entire
This
chapter would.
company's gonna die.
If your
Yeah.
chapter all jumped in here, we could just walk across. Like, okay.
Oh shit.
So I took Grimdark to the to a fun
Oh,
level.
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
But anyway, so back to the topic here. So
Yeah.
so with this weird Primaris, like it's this night and day. We've gotten the Primaris treatment, and I use Primaris as a term more than anything
Yeah.
else, meaning like you now feel like 8th edition, you now feel like 9th edition.
Yeah.
Because there's some armies that have just like they take it and it doesn't fit in the 8th edition hole, so they kind of turn it to the side, file down some edges, and push real hard.
Yeah. Uh, I feel like every army it fits eighth. I'll give you that. I like most armies in eighth. There's a few. I feel like Eldar didn't really find their place in eighth. Then again, a lot of Eldar players, and me not being an Eldar player, but playing somebody who played against Eldar in seventh. Whenever you saw Eldar and you knew you were in for a rough game, they never really found their footing
Yeah,
to compete again. In my mind, they did as part of like a trio army with Drakari and all that, not
right.
kind of on their own. Um, yeah, I don't know. Feel like right now the big thing is that jump from eighth to ninth. I feel like we've kind of been sitting here looking at it for a year plus. Like even I know that COVID was a thing and slowed all this
Yeah.
down. However, if you are one of those Space Marine players who didn't get their second wound on their old school Marines, you're hurting right now.
Well,
And
and so real quick here, just to because we're going to come at this from two sides, and you're going
okay,
to come at it a lot from the rules side, and I'm going to come at a
yeah,
lot of it from the model side. From my
fine.
side, before you even, for you, the person
Before I
who's at
start
home,
going,
the
yeah,
person at home watching this video, I'm already aware because I know you're going to come at it from an AOS perspective. I am aware that AOS has gotten a bajillion armies,
yeah, the
and
treatment.
Warhammer is and Games Workshop is a limited company, and they can only make so many models. So 40K hasn't seen as many new models because AOS is seeing so many,
Yeah,
and I understand that. So we're gonna take that and just put it on a hanger somewhere and forget about it for right now, because then
fair enough.
we just got to get it out of the system here. So
Right. We
so
all
I,
have to sit here and understand that we're having the time of AOS right now.
right,
And there may come a point where AOS is going to have to sit there and go, wow, look at those really cool 40K models they're getting over there. Be nice if
Hopefully,
I could get some of that.
hopefully after the dispossessed.
Yeah, yeah. After we get Dispossessed Codex, yeah, definitely.
Put a little get a good old Grungni model on the table. That's
Sounds good. Yeah.
um, but so let's kind of go through. Let's start off with the Imperium.
Mhm.
So, who are kind of your standout? Like they really got the good treatment.
If you are a basic Space Marine player, oh
Wow,
boy.
calling people play Space Marine basic. Nice. That's
Yeah, it was everyone's first army. Thank you. Uh, but it's one of those amazing things where, especially in seventh and maybe even for some of eighth, it's one of those. Yeah, it was your first army. You got it. You probably weren't going to do well with it unless you played this one specific build, and it kind of felt bad because you're sitting there going, "These are the poster boys. They suck." Now it's like somebody said, "All right, you know what? They just complained all the time that Space Marines aren't good enough. I know this dial says 10. Can we put a 12 on this?" And they did it. Now everyone's starting to catch back up to them as we go, but especially whenever they first started, oh boy, it was a good time to be a basic generic Space Marine player.
so one of the fun things is like I looked at the Primaris models and I really liked a lot of them. I liked the what do they call it? And again, I apologize for anyone that's watching this as a 40K player. I'm gonna not do any names good. So,
It's
is it the
okay.
aggressive intercessors or something? The assault
The
intercessors.
aggressors, yes, aggressors, aggressive aggressors, close enough.
Well, no, so that's a
Yes,
different unit. The aggressors are the ones that look like Terminator armor.
yes.
So, as previously said, I love Terminator armor, so I love these guys. And then I saw the rules,
Mhm.
and I love them even more.
Yeah.
Um, and then I also love the assault guys that have the dialed back bolter and the chainsword.
Back bolter in the chain. Oh yes,
I
the
think it is just assault intercessors.
yeah, the assault intercessors. Yep, that's all they were. Yep.
So I love them,
Yeah, I agree. That's a cool model.
and then how do I not like the the guys with the giant tower shields?
Oh, agreed. Yes, the Blade Guard veterans. Yes, those are
Uh,
great.
and then I love I feel like I'm the only person that really likes um, Gulliman,
Yeah,
like the
you're probably the
character.
only person that likes Gulliman. Yeah.
I really like him a lot. Because again, like he's the only person that actually in the story goes, "Hey, wait a second, let's be rational about this." It's like,
No, no.
what are you talking about? We don't do that here.
Yeah, we haven't done that in how long? Let's not start now.
It
All
has been
right.
10,000 years. It has been, hey, what color do you like? Green?
Yeah.
Wrong. Nuke the planet. Like,
Yeah. No, let's not do that. You get back in your stasis pod and you stay there.
we'll see you in 50K. All right.
Yeah. Think about what you've done. Oh,
So like, it was funny. I never considered it until Chuck brought it up. He's like, you should probably look at Ultramarines. And I looked at Ultramarines and I was like, boy. So I get Gulliman.
mhm. Yeah.
Aggressors do pretty well in Ultramarines.
Yes. I mean, if yeah, they do. Everything does kind of decent
Well,
Ultramarines in.
the I don't remember if it's still that way, but I know initially at least the aggressors, due to a rule in the Ultramarines, things can move and shoot as if they hadn't moved. So that meant the aggressors get to shoot twice.
Right. Aggressors have lost the ability to shoot twice.
Okay, all
Sadly,
right. So
that is.
I'm never going to do this army now. So
Yep. So I've just completely ruined your whole idea here. So
well,
yeah.
I mean, it's one of the things that like I was like, obviously I didn't do it because
Right. Yeah.
I looked at it the last time when that was viable and didn't
Yeah.
start
No,
the army.
that's changed. Yeah. That was one thing. I was looking through the rule book whenever they did it for ninth and going, wait a second,
That
where'd
was
that rule go?
that was roll strong.
Yeah, it was. As a Salamanders player, the idea of let me sit here and shoot you with flamers twice was all right.
Now, do Ultramarines still have the retreat and charge or retreat and shoot?
Retreat and shoot is still a thing. You can still retreat. Fires with a -1 penalty.
That's
So
not bad.
No,
I'm
not at
still
all.
all right with that.
Yeah, you just make yourself a nice little gun line, fall back a little bit, pop them in the face, and get ready for whenever they come at you again.
Now, it seems like it's also safe to assume that Sisters of Battle are in a good place.
Yeah, they're in a good place. They're not top of the meta, but if you are a good pilot of that army, I feel like you can surprise quite a few people.
Now, mentioned them before.
And
What about?
especially knowing that stuff's still coming for them.
Yeah, oh
It's
yeah,
great.
like we're gonna give you the Lumina treatment. Here's your second half of your army.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those things that you're sitting there going, yeah, they're in an okay place, but they're also one of the few 40K armies right now have models coming up.
Yeah, and that's boy, they don't do a pinch of salt. They just don't.
No, they don't. They just throw it in there.
I guess
It's gonna be great.
salt can mean different things in this game, so we'll go with the
Yeah,
cheese guy at all of
there
them.
we go. Yeah,
So you're
something
like,
much nicer.
I would
Just
like
keep
cheese.
grinding,
And he's
baby.
like grinding, and you're like, I didn't. You can
I
stop.
didn't know I was supposed to tell you to stop.
It's
Damn.
like,
Okay.
it's like no. You're sitting there going stop, and he's like, I can stop.
You're getting it. You better enjoy it.
Where are Custodes? How are they doing?
Custodies are in an interesting place as far as I'm concerned. They were definitely in a good place at the start of the edition.
Yeah, I heard that.
They are another difficult army to pilot just because you are a low model count, and at the end of the day, it's an objective-based game, just like Age of Sigmar. So if you can't take objectives, it's difficult. So you have to be on top of your thought process of, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And if you're a turn late on it's time to move up and take that objective,
Yeah.
you'll know about it because you won't get there in time.
Yeah. So my current list right now that I have that I'll eventually paint.
You'll do it.
I'll
I'll get you down here.
I have so right now I have one unit of Custodes complete, and they look really
Okay.
cool. I actually used the I think it's Vallejo. There's like they have their own special. I think it's like an alcohol based gold.
Yeah, they're metallics. Yeah.
Well, it's not just their metallics. They have a special line of I forget what it's called.
Okay.
But they like it's one that again Vince from Warhammer Weekly always recommends, and
Okay.
it just looks amazing. And then on top
Good.
of that, I did for the shoulder pads. I didn't want to just go red, so I did is I put red, and then I put a red enamel over top of it.
Oh, okay.
It looks sweet for me, for my stuff.
Okay.
And then I have and then of course I'm bringing Gulliman.
Of course, you have to. Obviously, you're the guy who enjoys him. As a lore sense, you enjoy him.
What I actually want to do really bad, and whenever I actually sit down and make the army, I'll probably end up doing it at some point. I'm going to buy that third-party Emperor model
Okay.
and just run them as Gulliman.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you can't. I mean,
That makes a lot more sense for the Custodies to be running around with the Emperor once he stands up. I mean, come on. They don't care what's going on in the universe. They're just going to be like, no, I got to leave, guys. The Emperor stood up. We woke up. I know you're all going to die, but I'm leaving.
he wants to take a walk, so we're gonna.
Yep. I've got to go.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Like anytime I do a big conversion like that, I'll always bring the original model. And then, like, do you mind if I use by conversion? I have him if you prefer. Like,
right. Which you have people, of course, who might be, a pain about it. But me personally, the hell with it. I don't care.
Yeah. All right. So I think we covered basically the winners of the Imperium.
Yeah. Mechanicus is not in a terrible place either. But yeah,
honestly, like,
it's a good time to be in the Imperium.
Other than when they first did the vehicle change, there's never been a bad time to be all tanks.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
What about I've been seeing or you said Mechanicus. I'm thinking I'm crossing Mechanicus and Imperial Guard or the Astra Militarum.
Yeah, I saw one or two lists of Astra Militarum doing okay. I still feel like they're in a rough place now. Then again, with the changes in 9th edition to your leadership and people running away, that helped some. Where you need to kill them essentially to the man to get them off of an objective. So that helps.
I now I feel like the tanks are okay,
Yeah.
but we need a new we need a new standard troop box.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are old.
I
Those are very old. I mean,
I could be
you've
wrong on
just
this.
made every Eldar player watching this upset at you
No, it's
because they've
fine.
been waiting longer. But
Eldar players are always upset, so it's
yeah, I mean, yeah,
well. I
you're
think I bought. I forget what I bought, but I swear I saw that sprue was like 93 or something.
you could
Like,
sure, I believe you.
I,
It might be.
again, I could be wrong.
It's
I'm not
probably
here.
one of the very first plastic sprues. You can tell the age of the 40K sprues because of how much just open space there is.
Yeah,
Especially, I remember, what is it, Space Marines, Scout Snipers, or just the Scout box. There is so much empty space. I can find everything on that sprue without a problem,
yeah,
let me tell you.
yeah. That I mean, I just can't imagine. Like, I feel like if you just did the troop box,
Yeah.
you'd be
If you
fine.
just updated them and gave that unit more character.
Right, throw in a little more
Yeah.
character, maybe a couple female soldiers.
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
great. It'd be great. Done.
Yeah.
Move along with
Agreed.
the
Yeah.
day. But then,
Yeah, and as many as you need if you're playing guard, you just take those same bits, throw them elsewhere in the army.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy. Yeah,
so what about the losers of Imperium?
I don't really have any unless you are a Space Marine body that is still sitting there going, "Hey, those guys have 2 wounds. I would like 2 wounds." AKA, are you playing Grey Knights right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it sounds like it's Grey Knights are not necessarily in a great place,
Yeah.
mainly due to the fact that it's like I'm an elite army that has horde rules, kind of like Fire
Yeah.
Slayers in first edition.
Yeah.
Um, but like that's one that again, from an aesthetic standpoint,
Mhm.
I want to see these. I want to see. I don't want to just paint Primaris models silver.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And this is one of the things that's driving me up a wall because like you have Grey Knights, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, and like even to a lesser extent, I think you can get away with Dark Angels. Although I wouldn't mind seeing a robed. I think if you just came out with
Yeah.
robed Primaris, you could put them in Dark Angels or Blood Angels without a problem. Hell,
Yeah,
even
you're
even
probably right.
Black Templars.
Yeah, I feel like there's quite a few Space Marines that lore-wise, especially them essentially being warrior priests in a sense.
Yeah.
If you just gave us some kits to throw some robes on them, yeah, you'd sell them. I think a lot of people would go nuts for them.
Personally, I think the biggest, again, the beside putting Grey Knights aside, the biggest offenders of not getting new models is to me Space Wolves.
Yeah,
Because we're
those
now
two
what
feel-
we've had. There was what from the 8th edition to 9th edition was like a 200-year jump,
Yeah,
and you're telling me that Space Wolves have been sitting with Primaris armor for 200 years and haven't
yeah,
started.
and they haven't started tricking that out. Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, I think they've got a lieutenant style model.
and he looks
But
awesome.
Yes.
He
yeah.
looks amazing. Like, you can't do that to me because now, even if I
Right. I see
convert,
it.
like if I convert my old stuff, everyone's still gonna be like, yeah, but that guy looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah. he
The
does.
rest of your crap looks busted. Like, and like,
Yep.
and so again, to me, I know it's not a problem for you. I'm like, okay, now I have my Gray Hunters are now Primaris,
Right. Okay.
but now
Yeah, just
I
because they
have.
look like. Yeah.
But well, again, that was the thing. Is like, if I remember right, they just got Primaris options. They didn't even get Primaris Space Wolves per se.
Yeah, they just essentially said, "Go grab the Primaris box," and good enough. You
Right.
just count them as Space Wolves. Essentially, you just paint them up gray.
Now again, I never got on board with the Wolfen.
Yeah, I always thought that was kind of weird too, as though like an Inquisitor would see that for the first time and just be like,
What?
Nuke that, please. Thank you. All right.
And again, like it was cool to me. It was cool, like whenever the novels came out, and it was like out of 1,000 Space Marines, there was one or two Wolfen. Out of a
Right.
thousand Wolfen, one or two were able to be still sound of mind enough not to kill each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
To
Yeah.
be
There's
like,
lots of lore stuff I remember from some of the books of just people going to, I forget what they called it, the Gray Wolf or whatever, and just losing their mind. There's a good novel from a while ago. I can't even remember what the name of this. Do I even have it behind me here? No, I didn't. Don't have it up there. But it's just there's a description of one of the Space Wolves just mid battle losing his mind, and I think he essentially goes wolfing through it.
hmm,
But it's one of those things that the other Space Marines watching know he's dead. To them, he's already dead.
yeah,
That's the end of it. He's going to kill a lot of enemy, but we will never get him back.
right,
It's kind of like somebody succumbing to the Black Rage
yeah.
for, yeah,
And like I said, and that's cool, but like at the same time, I never was on board with that. So
yeah.
I don't necessarily know. I wouldn't need Primaris Wolfen. Um, how we didn't get Primaris Thunderwolf Cavalry,
Agreed. I was so ready for that
and like,
because Thunderwolf Cavalry to me are just the coolest thing. That if
yeah,
you're not playing them, you're wrong. If
whenever I
you
was
should be
playing
playing
them,
that army.
I always brought like 9 to 12 of those things.
Oh.
People are like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I like
Yeah,
them."
yeah.
And I
Why
had
not?
Canis Wolfborn and the other guy, the guy they added
Uh,
afterwards.
yeah. Shoot, I can't even remember his name now. But yeah, no, agreed. Of the models for that army, that was just, oh yeah, Space Wolves. Yep, I
And
get the whole idea.
I assume you can't have Primaris Thunderwolves, so I'm fine if they want to upgrade it to chariots.
Okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
would be fine with that.
Or somehow we're pumping these wolves full of drugs so they can hold these bigger Space Marines of some sort.
They're all like back legs splayed out. The front paws are just they're
Just going. Yep,
4-inch move.
yep.
um,
Either that, or you just start hitting them with cybernetics, something like that.
yeah. What army would you? Let's say, since again I'm pulling you into the aesthetic world.
Yeah,
What
that's
army
fine.
would you like to of the Imperium right now? Would you like to
Hmm.
see be updated?
Updated as far as I want new models that I think would look really
Yeah,
cool. Hmm. As far as the Imperium goes, I agree that the Guard could probably, especially with the way everything else looks. Now, I want to say Guard, but it's also just the most familiar looking for everyone.
it's very true.
And I know if they grab hold of that, it's going to get weird. And I don't want it to get weird. I want to just be able to see all these grizzled people who are somehow making their way through a very tough universe.
Well, that's one of the issues. Again, it kind of goes what we were talking about with the singular Primaris Space
Right.
Wolf. They've
Yeah.
done that. They've had that
Yeah.
one. What's the jungle people? Catachan.
Yeah, the catechins. Yep.
The Catachan. They've released a small group of new Catachan models, and they're like, oh my god, this is what we could have. Like,
Right. Yeah. No, I've heard the olden times of whenever you would go out and you would buy your Steel Legion and your catechins and like Praetorians or something like that too, and that just sounds awesome. But
yeah,
yeah, not something we get to do nowadays. We get this one type, which I can understand. GW probably can't produce in the numbers of
right.
each of those weird individual ones, and stores only have so much space
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
And so I feel like the aesthetically, outside of Space Marines
Hmm.
and like core Space Marines and uh, robot people, Necron,
Yes, those.
it's like everyone else is just. I feel like
They're getting a
everyone is like,
sprinkling.
please, and of course orcs are finally getting theirs, and I've been saying that for
Yes.
as long as Chuck's been doing this channel that orcs need.
Need something.
Yeah,
I am just seeing these in 40K and going, when do I get to see the AOS version of these as
Yeah,
well?
I hope we do eventually see Squig Riders. That's
Yeah. No, if I'm sitting there as an orc player in AOS, I'm going, hey, don't forget about me. I also have green people. I would like some.
oh, and Death Watch or not Death Watch, Death Guard.
Oh,
They
yes.
got new models with 8th edition, and they're pretty cool looking.
Yeah,
And they got
Death Watch.
Mortarion.
Yeah, Death Guard did. Yeah, yeah. No, agreed. Those had gotten a nice 8th edition update, and those looked good. Those are the right scale now,
Yeah,
those models.
Death
So,
Watch.
yeah,
Just touching Death Watch real quick here.
yeah.
That is an army that, to me, does not work half Primaris, half Old Guard, because you're having
Yeah,
these elite models, so you're already having a small number of fragile models, and you're
yeah.
like, okay, and here's some Primaris, just put them in the field, just see how it works. Like,
Yeah. No, agreed. And how many Space Marine groups are going to be like, okay, these are our Primaris guys that we, at least in the lore, some groups trust them, some don't. And these are definitely new by everyone's standards.
yeah,
Is the Inquisitor that's asking for all of these going to be okay whenever a Primaris Marine shows up at his door
boy,
saying, I'm here to fight?
I'll tell you, I would absolutely love if they would just, because I think like Death Watch is really hard. I feel like
Hmm.
Death Watch is incredibly hard to do right. I
Yeah.
really feel like they just need to be rolled into an Inquisition Codex.
Yeah, I think we do. I remember whenever Grey Knights had the Inquisition in them with
Yeah,
them. I feel like now that they aren't in there, essentially, we should just ball them up into a group.
and I'll
Agreed.
tell you, like, so again, that's whenever I started Grey Knights, whenever they were still in there, and I really don't feel
Right.
like they're missing anything. Uh,
No.
I feel like Grey Knights do perfectly well standing on their own, but I would
Yeah.
love to see Inquisitors with, I forget what the non like the rank and file of the Inquisition is called. I forget what they are.
Oh, yeah. Just acolytes, I think, is all
Yeah,
it
that's what
is.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
Acolytes as well, but like have like acolytes, Arbidaes,
Mhm.
stuff like that, and then like
Yeah.
the Death Watch can then be your elites.
Right. Agreed. Yeah.
And also, let's pull their points down a little bit. Like,
Yeah. They've
I've
got really cool stuff, and you can mix and match units, but, like,
I have no
there's not
problem
enough.
taking an 8-point Marine and giving him a 40-point weapon. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, if there's a problem if that's your army. It's not a problem
Right.
if that's a unit.
No, agreed. Yeah. And it helps you out quite a bit whenever you're playing around with that whole I'm playing the objective based game.
Right.
And
Right, absolutely. And again, that's the other thing is like lore wise, Deathwatch, as much as I love Deathwatch, I
mhm.
love them.
Yeah.
That was the third army that I had in 40k
Okay.
because it was Grey Knights. It was started off started off Ultramarines, and I got rid of the army because I wanted to be someone. I wanted to be different.
Right. Everyone wanted to.
Right. Started Space Wolves. I liked it, but it really didn't hook me. And then I was Grey Knights until Deathwatch came out, and then I was like, wait, chocolate, peanut butter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was awesome because I literally just had like
Yeah.
2 units of Grey Knight Terminators that would just drop in the front lines, and then I
Yeah.
gave the two units of Deathwatch in Razorbacks, and each unit had the Deathwatch super far shooting, kill you from
Stalker
anywhere cannon.
pattern.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun
To kill
times.
you from a cannon.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The frag launcher cannon or
Yes,
something like
yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
And
That was
so
it.
like, and at that point, everyone I was playing was like, "Yeah, I don't like you anymore." I don't-
Yeah. You put this impenetrable wall up in front of me and then you just shoot me from behind it. I
and
don't like
then
that.
and then Chuck was giving me a hard time, so then I added Gulliman and Saint Celestine into it.
Boy. You told him here. Now you can complain. All
Yeah,
right.
now, how about this? You take Saint Celestine off the table, you win. How about that?
Oh, jeez.
All right, so let's move over here. I feel like chaos in general pretty good.
Yeah, again, if you're playing generic chaos, you are kind of sitting there going, "Hey, where's my wound, man?"
Now let me
Because they
ask.
don't even have a Primaris version to fall back on
That's
as
what
two
that
wounds.
was actually going to be my question. What do you
Yeah,
think about?
giving them a Primaris.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, for me, it's kind of hard. I feel like it's on. I feel like that's what Fabius Bile was doing.
That's what I thought too. Is that he's going through and he's pumping up all these Marines and just being like, "All right, I've got something. I've got my weapon to fight what the Imperium's doing."
Right. But I think for me, I do want to see the Chaos Space Marine get lifted,
Agreed. They should be a terror.
but I don't necessarily want, again, not Primaris the term, but Primaris the actual word. I don't necessarily want Primaris Chaos Space Marines.
Agreed. Yeah, we don't need to reuse that word.
If I
We can do
could,
something strange like awoken or something like that.
yeah, honestly, if there was a way that, like, hey, you know what we're gonna do is, I'm Fabius Bile. I figured out how to turn your gene seed into a chaos portal,
Right.
and so now, like, the mutations are going insane.
Yeah.
Done.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Like, not necessarily the possessed Marines, but
No. But we aren't
like if you
100%
take
certain what's happening to you.
like or Chaos Space Marines and possessed Marines and like something in here,
Right. Yeah.
that would be cool.
I
Because
feel like
again, old models.
yeah. Agreed. No, I was gonna say I think they got it right with the new Death Guard models because they kind
Yeah,
of look like that.
yeah,
Is Yep, these guys are plague touched, and I can tell they've got something going on underneath that armor that I don't want to see.
yeah.
And yeah, no, that's exactly it.
Now, as far as like the demons go,
Hmm.
this is basically the same conversation with AOS here. Obviously,
Right.
uh, we are now on. I believe this is the fourth iteration of demons.
Something like that. Yeah.
Um, and again, I know I've said on the main show that I still prefer last line of demonettes and last line of pink horrors.
Oh yeah, the pinks. I will agree with you on 110%. Those were very characterful models. I've
I
got to
mean,
see them from Brad and all that in the
oh
group.
yeah,
Yeah,
where you literally had like the blue horrors like ripping themselves out of the pink horror, like
yeah,
that
those
to
were
me,
cool.
like looking at the pink horrors and then reading what the pink horrors are, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I can't really
Yeah,
see it. You look at the old sculpts, and you're like,
yeah.
oh, I see it.
I've got what you're talking about. Yeah,
Um, I think the plague bearers, I think the model is a little outdated, but I think the
yeah.
concept is
So,
still fine.
yeah, I don't think they really need an update. It reads by
Yeah,
what you're thinking of. Yeah,
corn, bloodletters, I think are
yeah.
spot
I
on.
think. Yep. Agreed. You really can't
Um,
improve on that much.
and again, like I said, I think with the demonettes, it is a good choice to take mass boob rows off the
Yes.
table.
Yes. In today's day and age, yep,
Again,
they're
as an adult, I think it's awesome. I think
right.
it's spot on. I think it
Exactly.
matches perfectly with what the army is and what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Um,
As the
especially like
teenager who has to walk into the game store with his mom,
right, right.
no, not a good idea.
Like I said, I think whenever I think Slanesh, like especially 40k,
Yeah.
the one image that pops in my head is the demonette with her hand on the guardsman,
Hmm.
and her fingers are like melding into his face, and he is
Oh.
simultaneously, he has the artist did an amazing job of making the face
Hmm.
look both agony and pleasure.
Okay.
It,
Well, that's kind of yeah. That
and
would be the art piece that you would go for if you want
I
to describe Slanesh.
have you seen that image?
I'm remembering it now. I think it was in one of the old army
Yeah,
books.
it's not new. It's not new.
No,
And I'm
it's
like,
yeah,
and to me, that's Slanesh. And
yeah,
that is the old demonettes. Whereas, like, the new demonettes, no one's going to be like, hey, what are you doing with that crab claw later, huh?
yeah. Exactly. There's nothing in my head that's sitting there going, how are you convincing that guy to go with you?
Right,
Like,
right.
eh,
That's a nice singular boob you have there. Once,
yeah. Hey, if that's your thing,
yeah.
I'm not yucking your yum. But
So I said, I think that's now. How are the demons on the table?
I don't think right now the demons are in the greatest place on the table. If you want to take a pure demon army,
Hmm.
they are definitely something that you need. They need help. I
Okay,
mean, the lack of range, especially in the
a
41st
range game.
millennium, where, yes, whereas Age of Sigmar, you have close combat as your main focus. In 40K, everyone has a gun.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you're playing an army without a gun, oh boy, we're starting up. It's not possible. There are lots of armies very good at close combat in 40K,
yeah.
but you should have at least a pistol so you can shoot from a foot out, you know?
I mean, like I said, I think there would be interesting ways of like, I don't know. I don't know how you could do it. Like, I feel like teleportation would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, speed. You need to give them a burst of speed, I feel like, or something just terrifying. Like, take a leadership test before you shoot. If you fail, give yourself -1 to hit because you're like, what on earth is that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like there's I think there's nothing wrong with doing range, like giving demons ranged, but at the
Right.
same time, I feel like there's an interesting play space
Mhm.
to delve into the narrative and make it so they don't need it.
Right, I agree. I wouldn't want to give demons range is my whole problem with this whole thing. I'm saying they need
Yeah.
it. I don't want to give it to them
Now, how about
because
adding the demons into the individual armies?
so you just say, let's pick up plague bearers and give them to the
Death
Death
Guard.
Guard.
Can you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, you can play them like that from what I remember. I would need to go double check all of the books and everything, but I believe you can.
Of course, I think the last thing I heard about, like, say again, Death Guard is the go to because I like Nurgle.
Well,
Um,
they're also the ones that kind of got updated. The
yeah,
other four gods are kind of
that
waiting
whenever you
for the
talk about bringing in plague bearers, you're like, why? I could just bring in the zombie
the
guys
yep, the zombies instead and do the same job for probably
cheaper.
less points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you don't have to
exactly.
worry about a new detachment.
Exactly. Yep. That's kind of where I would be too if you told me to make that army.
Yeah. What about like for say like Thousand Sons? Thousand Sons, in my mind, have always been a little bit closer tied to their, a little bit more integrated with their demon kin.
Yeah, no, they can stand seeing their demons a lot more too, especially whenever you're thinking that the Space Marines themselves are suits full of sand.
Yeah.
They really aren't getting terrified too much by some horrors sitting over there. Just yeah, sure, Tuesday.
How are they?
Yeah.
Do you know how Thousand Sons are in the current meta?
I don't honestly know how they are in a current meta.
So they're at
Now,
least not popular.
no, I feel like they have a spot where they kind of go, "Hey, is this a Space Marine meta?" Because I'm a Space Marine body, and especially when sitting on 2 wounds, when that becomes a bigger thing for them, they're going to be very happy of being these very strong, very able to take a punch
Yeah.
Space Marines with 2 wounds. When that happens for them, and their bolt guns having this innate -2 to your armor that a regular
Wow.
Space Marine doesn't have. Yeah, that's going to be very good. They will be very good in the Space Marine meta when they get that second wound and
Yeah.
can actually fight a regular Space Marine.
Yeah. I'm still, my mind is, well, if it was any company other than Games Workshop, my mind would be blown that they didn't just across the board.
I know,
All
and I
Marines get
think
this. By
right,
all Marines, we mean all of these kits.
right. If you say, yeah, exactly. Give me a big old list. Now, I can kind of understand not giving a big old list because a lot of people, I feel like, a lot more than what we realize. Obviously, not the people listening to this podcast, but so many people probably never hop on the website to
Yeah,
double check an FAQ
yeah,
and would just never know unless you put it in a book.
yeah. And again, that is one of my big issues with the errata. I feel like at a certain point, whenever they are like kind of like whenever you're in the midpoint from when your battle tome or codex came out and where you're going to be seeing your next one, maybe it's
Yeah,
time to just update the book
yeah.
and incorporate the errata into it.
Mhm.
Um, or again, you have a living document.
Right.
on the phone,
Yeah.
where you go in and
Yeah.
it's updated in the phone.
Exactly. And my excuse of people not hopping on the website, I feel like slowly becoming more and more just
Oh,
outdated
and
as
you're
more
absolutely
young
right.
people get into the hobby and technology just becomes a bigger part of all of our lives.
Well, so again, so to your point, I started in fifth edition,
Yeah.
midway through fifth,
Hmm.
and I didn't look for FAQs or errata
Yep.
until my first tournament, which was a doubles tournament at Nova, where both Chuck
Wow.
and I brought Stormcast.
All right. Yeah.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, because again,
Right.
if you're just playing with your dad or your best friend or your brother or
Right.
whatever, you don't care about
Yeah.
it. Like, I
Yeah.
already
Who
have
cares?
a 200-page book. I'm not going online to
Right.
get more pages to put in the book. Like,
Yeah. I don't care about any of that. I'm gonna have some pretzels, drink some beer. We're all gonna bullshit for 4 hours, get through 3 turns, and be happy.
right, right. But yeah, I think from coming from an aesthetic standpoint, though, I think Thousand Suns are it's another one of the Chaos armies that is just top shelf. I love the
Right.
aesthetic look. Um, Now, here's one problem that I think is once again just a me problem. I
Mhm.
only like them in the blue, in that like the tealy blue.
Yeah. Now, a clubmate of ours, Jacob, he does his in the red, which is what they would
Except for
have been in
Jacob's army,
pre-hairs.
his army is amazing, right,
Yeah,
Jacob?
yeah, it's okay. He won't be listening to this. You're fine. Uh, no, that is in the pre-heresy red.
Yeah.
I agree with you though. They look so much better in the blue.
Again,
And
I feel bad
if
like whenever a model comes out and it only
mhm,
looks good in like one scheme.
exactly, I mean, we're getting much better at not having to worry about that.
Yeah.
But
And again, like I said,
definitely,
I I commend someone that has like Jacob who went with red
right?
for
He went
his.
something different.
I
Yep.
commend him because he's a bigger man than
Yeah. Yep.
I. Who else do we have? I know we have the normal space Chaos Space Marines, and I've heard some hemming and hawing and grimacing about them.
Right. So let's see. For Chaos, we have Demons, regular Space
Yeah.
Marines, Death Guard, Thousand Suns. Chaos Knights, if you care about the big stompy robots as well. I
Uh,
think that's all of our Chaos
well,
factions.
how is just regular Chaos Space Marines?
Regular Chaos Space Marines, again, they're waiting on their second wound at the
Yeah.
moment. Um, I feel like they're in an okay place if you are running them with some demons. If you're running them with the Primarchs as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
But,
well,
yeah, but
yeah.
those now can you bring them? Can Chaos Space Marines bring them in, or are the
I believe
Primarchs?
that they can bring.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm still shocked that 40K doesn't have a Chaos Space Marine for each.
I agree. I have been, as a Corn player, as you know, I've wanted my Corn Berserkers to have
Yeah.
their own book.
What are they?
I
The
feel like they should.
World Eaters?
Yes, the World Eaters. Yep. They should have their own book. And the Noise Marines, which are kind of the Slaneshi ones.
Emperor's Children.
Yes, that's it. They should also, in my
I
mind, have their own book.
love the pink and black.
Yeah, agreed. And that model they did a few years ago, the callback to the
Yeah.
one running the guitar, awesome. I love it.
And again, like I said, I get it. I get like, hey, look, we're 50%. Well, at least the last time I heard the statistic was 50% of all players are Space Marine players. So we have 100
Yeah,
Space Marine chapters. We can't do it for Chaos as well. I would
right.
still like to see it.
Yeah, just give me the four. I'm not asking for 100. I
Yeah.
just want you to break it out into the four,
But then
and I'll
also
be
on top
happy.
of that, if they did that, then Chaos Space Marines could push to Black Legion a little bit without feeling so bad.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
And so that leaves us to Xenos, the scattered not faction.
Yeah.
I left this one for the last because GW is going to do the same.
Oh, hey, we got Drukari recently,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're
And
we're
again,
going.
to continue with my complaints of the entire episode,
Mhm.
how do you take this? you can't even just do new troops. Like,
Yeah.
I loved, like, not only did they not give Drakari new models, but then they rubbed it in their face like, hey, here's new boxes.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I saw the
be
article.
prepared. Everyone's getting a new box.
Right. I'm like, why would you advertise that? That doesn't even begin to make sense.
No, that doesn't make anybody happy. They do not care about the wrapping on their
Right.
plastic
Right.
miniatures.
With that being said, out of the Xenos, the Dark Eldar is like my favorite.
Okay.
I love like the skiffs. I don't know what they're called in the.
Yeah, the Raiders and all that. Yeah.
I love those ships. Reminds me of Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Where Luke's on the thing about to jump into the
Yeah.
big worm guy.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I can see where you're getting that.
Which, by the way, is also led to my favorite conversion. Someone took a looted wagon from orcs, took one of those and turned it into a pirate ship.
Oh, there we go.
They literally made a
Yeah.
mast. They put a big sail. I there is or was a pirate orc model, right?
I don't know.
I
That would be
feel
before
like there
my time as
was.
well.
Either way, I know they put like a hat on him. They put an eye patch, and like they put him on the ship. It was amazing. And they put
Yeah.
then they got like the shittiest like wagon wheels they could find and just put them
Oh
on the side.
no! Yes. Look, it's our flying
Right. They took away the
ship.
hovering. They took away the
Yes.
hovering entirely and just put wagon wheels on it. It was
Which you
amazing.
know an orc would screw up the hovering too. He wouldn't know how to keep that thing running. It was probably working for the first whole day, and then it just dropped, and some poor sap got crushed underneath of it too.
But yeah, like I said, I honestly don't think they necessarily need too much of an update. I feel like it's a vehicle focused army.
Yeah,
I
agree.
think those vehicles are slick.
Yep, I don't think you really need to touch them right now, as far as that's concerned.
Again,
Um,
I feel like
you can
most
get a little
armies.
bit more. Yeah, you can get more dynamic with some of the poses.
Yeah.
That'd be about it.
Um, that's one of my things. Is like right now, like whenever you have so many outdated armies,
Right.
why not just if you're just going to release a book and you don't plan on doing any models, why not just do that troop box?
Yeah.
It-
It may very well just come down to how many designers they have in house to be able to do these.
We
type
already
of things.
put that topic on the
I
hangar.
know,
Right?
but
But I'm just saying, like, it should be the goal. Like, if you're going to do that, and you're not going to do a whole new line, if it's old,
Right.
if it's any Xenos, if it's any,
Right.
you know,
if you were before the year 2000,
Yeah.
maybe it's time for you to get something.
if your sprues are older than the average person running the army,
Yeah.
it's time.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think for the Dark Eldar, they don't. I think they're fine. I honestly think from an aesthetic standpoint, I think it's super cool. I can't pull off the paint scheme on the box to save my life.
That's how I feel as a Harlequin player. So yeah.
You just need masking. That's all you need. Just
I do masking tape, but I just do stripes.
also, by the
I
way,
can't do.
going back to Unification mod, they added Harlequins as a
You're
whole.
gonna end up making me have to go through and replay Dawn of War, just so I can play all these different armies.
I think a real quick aside.
Uh-huh.
It's not part of the Unification mod, and it really annoys me because I really wish I could integrate it. Somebody went ahead and like put maximum effort to get 90s internet quality Angry Marines army.
No. I saw that army at a Nova at one point. It was just. Oh boy!
My first swing at Death Watch, I actually did one Angry Marine.
Of course, you've gotta just one.
But no, like literally, like they modded all these things. All voice lines are completely
Oof, jeez.
like they're. If you take like the scouts and you like tell them to like go capture a point, like one of the times I swear I heard him yell, "I'm not even supposed to be here today."
Oh jeez, nice.
It's like you have to know what you're doing to make it
Make
feel
it
that
better.
as low a quality, but it's so good.
Oh boy,
But all right, so Tau.
Tau. I don't know. they feel in an awkward place. I feel like they could be very good.
You know,
It was very nice of GW to allow them to still be able to Overwatch without spending a command point,
yeah, that's
because boy, were they terrified for a minute there whenever ninth edition dropped, and they're just sitting there going, "What do you mean I don't get to
yeah.
Overwatch?" Really?
And that is Tau is a very interesting army. One of
Hmm.
my friends that I always like, one of my go-to people that I played for RDK with, like he played Tau and Eldar,
Yeah.
and
Boy, were you guys friends during seventh?
yeah, it was. And
Wow.
so this is Tau and Eldar versus Grey Knights. So I'm
Okay.
like, I just want to put things on the table. So then I eventually brought Custodies, and then
It helped a little, I'm sure, but yeah.
it basically ended with me winning on points, but running out of models turn 5.
Right. Yeah. You're sitting there going, I have two guys on the table. We actually can't hold anything if we go to a turn 7, but we'll take it. Thanks.
um, oh boy, like Tau players love their Tau, and that's
Yes.
super awesome. I love to see an army that has a following like this.
Yep.
I don't know
Jamie's a Tau
how
player.
I don't know how you make that army work without loading it up with negative play experience.
Yeah. Especially if your opponent is a close combat style army,
Yeah.
and you are good in your deployment so that you can get half your army or more to get to fire Overwatch on that poor unit that just decided to declare a charge, and you get to take a whole new shooting phase during your opponent's turn. That's the big problem,
Yeah.
is that you're rolling dice twice as much because you get to roll them on your opponent's turn as well.
Right. I almost feel like Overwatch isn't the solution, and that it relies somewhere else, whether it be, once again, a teleportation mechanic or a retreat, um,
Yeah.
something. Because,
No.
like, and again, because this has been, as far back as I remember, they've been captain of the Overwatch League.
Right. No, agreed.
So the buddy I was just talking about with Tal and Eldar, this started whenever I had my Space Wolves. And I don't know if
Yeah.
you remember 6th edition Space Wolves, where they stood in your face and they fired at you and forced you to charge into them. Like, the only relief is, like, okay, if I charge, you get one turn of good combat, then after that, you're just a Space
Right.
Wolf.
If I survive that, I can make it through, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. You're just
And,
a
like,
basic Space Marine now.
So now I'm, like, standing in, I'm like, okay, there's no world where you're going to charge me, and there's no world where my 8 boulders and 2 flamers are going to do anything. Like,
Right. Yeah.
and so then I charge, and then he shoots me with, like, 4 units and 2 tanks. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, so I either charge you and you wipe out a unit, or
Yeah.
I hold a point and you wipe out a unit.
Hmm.
And again, like I said, that's too much fire superiority. But if you take that away, they have nothing.
Right. They are a paper bag the moment they get into close combat. They have, especially nowadays with the leadership mechanic, that if you roll a 1, you auto pass. Well, Tau also have, if you roll a 6, you auto pass. So they are this weird army that's like 1/3 of the time they don't care about having to take any sort of battle shock. Okay, that's kind of cool.
1/3 of the time it works every time.
Every time.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I feel almost like the real solution is to require the Kroot being brought in.
Yeah, and you make it more of a, you're
Chaff.
going through the hodgepodge of, we're gathering all these different groups from around the universe to fight for us.
Right. I feel like if you made it so, okay, you need Kroot chaff in order to survive, and then we'll give you some exceptions on some of the shooting rules. So, like, can you shoot, if I remember, can other units shoot into melee?
No.
So, okay, there you go. They don't give a shit about Kroot, so they can shoot into the Kroot combats.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, even still, let's say they did a command ability where a Kroot commander can say, like give the firing order where shots are coming in, so the crew duck. I don't know,
Yeah,
like
that'd be cool. Yeah.
or like you don't have to shoot, like you can shoot whoever you want, you don't have to shoot closest, you don't have to worry, like ignore lookout
Yeah.
serves. Like there's a way to make shooting interesting,
Without giving the person 2 shooting phases a turn.
right? Without
Yeah.
like, oh, you charged me, well, we'll do something
I'm
about
gonna
that.
roll all this, and I'm gonna shoot for 6s, or unless I'm taking this group, which I'm looking for 5s,
Well,
and
I'll
we're
still
gonna roll all
say,
these dice, and a whole lot of nothing's gonna happen.
whenever it comes to Overwatch, since Overwatch was introduced, I always said Overwatch should only be done if you succeed a morale check.
Some sort of check, yeah.
It's,
Well, they've changed it now, especially with you only getting 1 a turn. It helps, but I see what you were saying.
Even like with that even gets in my craw, because now you have to go like, okay, now I have to see his entire turn.
Yep. And decide if it was worth it. Yep.
Right, as opposed to just like, all right, I'm going to charge you. Okay, I'm going to roll while you move your guys. Okay, I do get Overwatch.
Okay. Yeah.
And then still have it be on 6s, but like, even then, like if you're doing that, it'd be easier to then give more armies the exception to shoot on or hit on something other than a 6.
Right. Yeah.
Again, I know I always get the common pushback of like, well, we don't want to roll more dice than we have to.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I get that, but at the same time, 2 dice is not the end of the world.
No.
Especially considering most armies across the board have uniform morale.
Yeah. It's
Most.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so as far from an aesthetic standpoint, I feel like Tower's still okay.
Yeah, they do what they want to.
Like with the addition of the bigger models,
yeah.
I feel like the Fire Warriors still stand up. I still feel like they look fine.
Yep, they look okay. The medium-sized battle suit, maybe that one could use an update.
Yeah.
It only feels like an old model to me, though. I feel like because I've seen it for so long.
Yeah, that's true as well.
But yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it still holds up.
Yeah,
there are
agreed.
worse. There are worse mod armies.
Yeah.
And so again, like honestly, with orcs, I don't even know what to say about orcs right now, because
Right. We know something's happening.
yeah,
Don't know what. End of the day, with orcs, we all know an orc player who has definitely grabbed some pieces from any other kit from anywhere and slapped it on their orcs. And
I hope
you'll say it looks good.
Is there a looted wagon right now?
I would need to double check.
I feel like no, and I feel like it's been a while
Yeah.
since they've had a looted wagon, and I feel like that's the biggest tragedy of all.
This is the loss of the looted wagon.
The looted wagon, in
Yeah.
my opinion, even if it wasn't a mediocre model, it was one of the best.
You know what this is, yeah.
Right, it was one of the best opportunities. Again, same player that had the pirate ship. I had one where he got a not a blade bane, but something one of the bigger giant tanks.
A Land Raider or something like that, maybe from Space Marines.
It was an Imperial Guard, I think.
Okay.
It might we'll just say Land Raider to make life easier. But so he took a Land Raider, and then he took a Lehman Russ and put it on top.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like an orc thing to me.
And
Somehow they parked it up there and said, "Good
and
to go, baby."
he literally just got some rope, and I was.
Yep, definitely.
Well,
the engine on this one doesn't work, so here we go.
He was the only person that I've ever seen do this, and I don't know why more people don't do it. So he painted up all of his looted wagons like normal, weathered them to hell and back, and then literally got a straw and just went with paint.
Oh, jeez.
So it looked like the orcs had painted it, because there's literally paint just running down and just like drops are dried on, but underneath you can see that it's perfectly like it's this beautifully painted model.
Terrible. Oh boy.
Because no orc is going to sit there and be like, paint it all, thin coats.
Yeah, you are correct.
It looked phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like they're going to be in a good place. I feel like they're
Yeah,
going to be a very
agreed.
interesting place.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
My only
excited for the
real
new
question
models.
is what we've seen a new army in addition to the current army or a changeover to a new army?
It's an addition. It's not going to be a changeover. We've got way too many speed freaks things going on right now for orcs and all that.
That's
Too
one of the
many
reasons.
vehicles.
It's one of the reasons why. Because so in the video it says it's time for something new.
Right.
So
It does, but it's going to be kind of like how you have 3 or 4 style builds to
yeah,
something. It'll be your third or fourth style build to orcs,
yeah,
in
we'll
my
see.
mind. Yeah.
As far as the way things are now, like I said, it's hard to say anything because like I feel obviously everyone knows the boys are outdated.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody's arguing with you there, but
But again, it looks like we're getting
they
new
still
ones.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last but not least, the Eldar will tie in the Yanari with them because
Sure.
that makes everything
Yeah.
like again.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember if we talked about it on the show. I know we did talk about this where it's like Eldar players are like, I feel like I'm out of the '80s, and then the Yanari came and everyone's like, oh my gosh, we're
We're
gonna
gonna
be
do it. Yeah,
it's
we're gonna
coming.
see all this. Yeah. No. No, it's the same monopose, well, just like static looking models.
Yeah.
Sorry guys.
Uh,
And it's getting harder and harder to justify making those new models. I feel like whenever I saw the new Banshee models for them, I went, "Oh, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where we're going to finally get it," because those were dynamic and
yeah.
beautiful looking. And then again
And
sat
Harlequins
there.
as well.
Yeah,
um,
Harlequins look good to me
yeah.
still, though, obviously. Uh,
Well, again, they're relatively new. They came out with the Death Watch.
yeah, yep, they were in fine cast at one point, so yeah, they're newer.
Yeah. Um, I think out of everything in Xenos, I feel like Eldar need the most.
Yeah, if you're gonna update the looks of an army, update Craft World Eldar. I think you'll make a lot of people happy. The problem is, I don't know anymore now that we have left 7th edition and have been playing, and it feels like Craft World's been looking for their space in 8th and 9th now, especially how many people would pick up those new models because
Well,
there's no.
I
Obviously, you have your player base that will always
right.
do that.
Well, I feel like again, the problem is back in. If you think about whenever you got into it in 5th,
Hmm.
remember how that Eldar felt back then.
Yeah,
Like you got into your Space Marines, you got into your Imperial Guard, and then like you looked over and the corner of your eye you saw the Eldar. You're like, what
yeah,
is that?
yeah,
And so I don't think an updated Eldar might bring back as many old players, but I think it would do that exact same thing for people who are starting the game now, looking at the corner of their eye, seeing
right.
something they don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah, agreed. And it's something you don't understand, but then you start reading things. They shoot shurikens.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds kind of cool. Okay,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, and then I guess I said last, but we're certainly not last there.
yeah.
Uh,
Tyranids and Gene Stealer cults might want to have a word with you there, but yeah,
Honestly, like I said, for them, I still have no problem with their models. I
yeah. Gene
think
Stealer cults is a very new army as
yeah,
far as
they're new, they're
everything's
cool
concerned.
looking.
They're happy.
With the
Tyranids, you just need to add. Yeah, there's so many different ones for Tyranids,
yeah,
so that would be a difficult one to refresh if you ever thought it needed a refresh.
and that's one of the things is like whenever you have like I think one of the things that Tyranid benefit from is that they are so much a horde army
Yeah, and they're
that
very diverse.
even if you don't take them as a horde, your opponent in their mind sees a horde.
Yeah,
So they don't see 25 gaunts. They see a mound of gaunts.
yeah,
So I think
yeah,
they're okay. I think really it just sounds like they just need help with their rules a little bit.
yeah. I don't disagree with that. They need
Um,
something.
again, it's the same thing with demons.
Okay.
I feel like if there is a way that you could have that for them, I feel like it should be like this punch, like
Right.
this. Whereas I feel like demons should be all over the place and should be mind games and terror and everything.
Yeah.
There's definitely some terror involved with Tyranid, but at the same time,
Right.
it should be like that. There's too many of them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have enough bullets.
Even if it was something as simple as taking out models and then putting models back, just to be like, no, you just miscounted the amount of the horde.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
Or even
Yeah.
again, this could be our summoning army.
Yeah. And they kind of have that with, I forget what the model's called, but there was like a brood mother type character that would just breed and
I'm
pump
not
out
even talking about
guards.
that. I'm talking like
Just everything.
every
Every
round,
single thing.
pick one list, put it in your starting area,
Yeah.
just to show this never-ending horde of just
Yeah.
more and more.
Good old send in the next wave once you used to be able to do that with conscripts in the guard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that could
That's
be
the same
interesting.
idea. Yeah.
And then that way, like, because then you have that fun aspect of being able to take mass casualties without losing the game.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And now the final, I think the final, Necrons.
Yeah. Necrons, who just got their ninth codex.
Yeah, so I think
And
they're in a good place.
yep, in a great place. Love the new models they were
New
coming
models are
out with
great.
and everything. Yep. That's I
I
think nobody can complain that they saw a non-space marine army getting a bunch of models. It was
so
great.
I have all of my Luminef paints over here because
Okay.
this is also my painting station, and so I love Tesseract Glow.
Okay. Yeah.
I use this for all of. I don't paint eyes, so my Luminef eyes glow.
There you go. It's not a bad idea.
Now I do miss the clear plastic, the green.
Oh yes. Those little tubes you would shove into the guns. Yeah.
I do miss
Those were
those.
all cool looking. I remember whenever I first started thinking, oh, those look really cool.
But yeah, like I said, I think they're in a great place. I think they look good. I feel like they do well on the table. I think they're a good one.
Yeah.
So overall, what do you think the percentages of in a good spot versus need new rules, and also aesthetically percentage of in a good place need new something?
Okay. So in the rules front, I want to say we are actually closer to probably a 50-50 split, mostly because I feel like a lot of chaos is still waiting on their update,
Yeah,
and the Xenos need some help. But of course, the Imperium is so big that it's half the range already.
yeah,
So that's where I'm thinking we're at a kind of 50-50 split there.
yeah,
As far as what you were thinking, after we've talked about this, of like even those loyalist Marines, why don't my Space Wolves have a bunch of pelts I can put on the Primaris armor and all that? Yeah, it might be a larger percentage that could use a refresh or just upgrade kits that you could buy to throw on your Space Marine side.
yeah, yeah. I feel like you could get away with most. I feel like you could get away with an upgrade sprue for most
Yeah,
of the Space Marines.
yeah.
The only one I think needs its own kits is Space Wolves.
Space Wolves, the cloaks for Dark Angels might also require their own thing.
Yeah, well, again, like I said, I think if you
But
just
maybe you just
released,
sell those.
yeah,
Yeah,
you could
agreed.
release a torso with a cloak and a hood,
Yeah,
and even legs. Like that could be an
right.
upgrade sprue.
Right. Yeah, you just throw out the 3 model kit and say, here you go, mix
Right,
them in.
right. But like I said, with Space Wolves, I mean, I want etched in runes. I want new insignias. I want
Okay, yeah.
furs. I want like and
You want to go full Odin with this whole
right.
thing. Yeah,
Everything needs to be Sons of Thor on there. That's
yeah. There we go. Yep.
all right. Well, I don't have enough. I don't have enough skin in the game to really do a side by side for the rules, but I would say I'm so torn. Like, I want to say 50-50 for models, But
Mm,
I think I got to go a little pessimistic and be say,
even more so for the rules.
well, I was saying for like aesthetics, I'm gonna say maybe 35 to 40% of the model line
Are good.
is in a good place, and the rest needs updated. Um,
I think a lot of people that play not Space Marines would agree with you.
yeah, because again,
Honestly,
you, I, it feels like again, if you're not playing Space Marines, you're playing with models that are literally from the 90s.
yeah, yeah. For the most part, I have to agree with you there. If you're
And,
not playing that,
and again, coming from an AOS perspective,
hmm,
where I
we're
try,
spoiled.
right, or I try and never knee jerk react to anything, and I try and
Hmm,
think of things from like an outside perspective.
hmm.
I really feel like AOS is in a good place right now, and if once
Yeah,
Soulblight comes out,
they pump the brakes on us to
yeah,
take
I
care of
mean,
our 40K side,
like I said, I mean, on AOS, like what else could we
other
like?
than going back through and adding more to the existing armies.
Right. I mean, I
Um,
feel like
Then, yeah,
you have like maybe like Ma Tribe has some old looking models. I mean, honestly, like I wouldn't mind if they pump the brakes where they are now, and then whenever
mm,
we come back, everyone who's still in the rank and file, we maybe
yep,
look at trying to update them, and then maybe from there we can get some new models or a new army
yeah.
or something. But uh, knowing GW, it's never going to work that way.
No, it wouldn't work that way.
We're just going to
Agreed.
keep getting new armies, new armies, new armies, and you can't keep up like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with new armies. Now, I will feel for people that will be stuck with those old school ones, but it's okay.
Yeah,
Even the ogre models, they aren't that bad, but I
yeah,
know
they
exactly
honestly
what you
aren't
mean.
bad.
With
Right,
everyone just holding up and feeling so stiff
right.
because they don't
Well,
want to hit the guy that's not in front of them.
right. Again, I look at it. Have you seen the new Chaos Warriors next to the old
Yes,
Chaos
those
Warriors?
old ones, that is night and day.
The old ones still look fine, but they're in that.
Right. Agreed.
And then you see the one next to me, you're like, oh my gosh, that it's almost like
It's so dynamic.
I. So not to get too existential here,
You're
but
fine.
I feel like it's almost a little bit of like the allegory of the cave, where you're looking at the flames and the shadows, or you're looking at the shadows from the flames on the wall, and you're like,
Yeah.
these shadows are great. And then
Yeah.
finally you turn around, you're like, well, shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It's yeah, like I said, I mean, I think, and that's kind of what I always go to is like, ah, man, these shadows are great, and then just turn around and like, ah, what is
What
that
the
a
hell was
tree?
that?
Holy hell!
Yeah.
How long's that been there? All right. Well,
Yeah.
somehow, even though we didn't do that much news, we still made it to the 2 hour mark.
It's fine. Well, you just need the rebrand now. Big M's 2 hour,
Listen,
2 hours of power. There you go.
listen. It's the power hour because I managed to fit 1 hour of content into 2 hours. That's
It takes some skill.
yeah.
It does.
My hours are so powerful they take two normal people hours. That's
There we go. I love it.
all right. Well, any final words before we head out today?
Not particularly. Not today, at least.
All right.
I don't have anything. We covered it pretty good, I'd say. I personally feel as though to compare the game to anything from pre eighth edition is foolish. Are the rules essentially
I
got
agree.
all thrown in the trash and we're restarting? If you want to say that my army feels like an eighth edition army, I probably won't argue with you.
Yeah.
You're probably right in a lot of ways.
Oh, you know what? Let's delve into one final topic.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go into a little bit rules heavy here. Not heavy, but rules. A rule specific topic here.
Okay.
Vehicles.
Okay.
How do you feel about now versus then, where you had the actual side armors?
Oh, the olden days of side armor and all that. I feel like the current way of doing it, where you don't have to worry about a facing or anything like that, it cuts down a lot on the measuring and checking and, oh, am I in, am I out type of stuff, which is nice for a streamlined game. But boy, did it feel really good whenever you got the rear armor and tank. You're
Yeah,
like, yeah, I got this. This is
yeah.
gonna be great.
And that's actually the reason why I brought it up, because to me, I feel like it is this dichotomy of positive
Hmm.
and negative,
Yep.
because boy, it's just so nice that I don't have to bring a tank buster.
Yeah.
I don't have to bring that squad of 5 devastators with missile launchers in case I come across some tanks I have to break, you know. But at the same time, I've lost that. Oh, thank God I took that tank down. Or, haha,
Right.
you're never going to tank my tank down, you know?
Right. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry that you didn't bring those tank busters, bud. This is going right up the gut.
Yeah, I personally don't think there is a right or wrong on that one, but I do think I think it's one for the philosophers to ponder over.
Yeah. That good feeling it gave you at times whenever you're like, I outsmarted you and I got this shot. It's great. Versus now you're just, hey, I don't even have to think about it. I'm in range. We're good to go.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, yeah, like I said, I love talking about stuff like that. So,
No, I
well,
agree.
thank you for being co-host for a second episode.
The second time I was on the greatest episode of
Yeah. Well, so
great,
here's the
awesome.
thing: every
Enjoying
episode
this.
just can get better. Here's a spoiler for you: next episode, it's going to be the
Mhm.
greatest episode we've ever done.
People are gonna have to tune in for that one then.
Yeah, you better. I don't even know what the topic is going to be yet. It's probably going to be like dice. What about them?
I don't. If you stretch that one out to 2 hours, I'll be pretty impressed.
Hey, listen. So you know how you have your little shelf of
Yeah.
D&D right there? Well, over
Yep.
here I have a shelf of basic first, second, third, and fourth edition books. Over there I
Okay.
have my fifth edition books. Above it I have all of my Death Watch books, Dark Heresy books, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Below that, I have Pathfinder First and Second Edition, along with Starfinder, and below that, I have 2 full shelves of systems you've never heard of.
I believe every word of that.
And every
Yeah.
single one of them uses dice in a different way. I could do an entire 2 hours on just how you could change Age of Sigmar to a D8 system.
Let's not do that. I don't need to buy that many more dice.
Uh, but yeah, so with that, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Big M's Power Hour, part of the Strength Hammer Underground. Again, if you made it this far, thank you very much. I try not to do the like, favorite, subscribe thing. Do it if you do it, whatever. I would like to hear your comments. So if you have anything to say, whether you agree, disagree, want me to talk about something, I'd love to hear the comments down there. Again, to go a little behind the curtains, this is attached to Chuck's account, so I have to manually check. But I do check pretty frequently, especially I check basically every day after work for the first week after releasing an episode. Go ahead and comment. And again, you can always get me at strengthhammer underscore hashtag HeyMatt.
There you go.
All
Yeah,
right.
just let Chuck deal with it.
All right. And with that, we will see you next month with another interesting topic you didn't want to hear for 2 hours. So thank you and have a good day.
Bye bye.